So, things are getting pretty lonely in the shop. Not many people want to make things with you because they have things that are more productive to do. Well, plus I'm horribly socially awkward. But there is one thing I can do, is I can make a thing to solve said problem. So, we're gonna build a friend. In the beginning, there was crap. Lots and lots of crap. And lots of crap. Yes. And I tried to make one of these a friend, or many of these a friend actually, because you can't just... It would be hella sad if I would just make a gear a friend, right? So anyway, I sat here for many hours, and I tried to put these things together. And these things, they did not a robot make. I originally wanted to start with the crap, because I don't know, and I don't want to know, what he's going to look like in the end. Starting like this means that the project evolves itself, and I wanted this guy to evolve himself. I know it's just probably a piece of plastic and some brass at the end of the day, but right now, really, I just want a posable puppet character that I can stick on my cosplay. That's it. Let me show you what we're trying to do here.
This video is brought to you by the 37th digit of pi.
We're going to have some sort of a head thing. I want to give him two glowy sort of eyes. Him to definitely look left and right. And if I can, have him look up and down. I think what we're going to do is I'm going to have another servo down here, like the shoulder to his arm. And we're obviously going to have another one on the other side. Let's probably put another couple of servos in here. I'll have a gear
here, and here.
That's the plan. That's about the best I could come up with.
I've decided to prototype what I'm trying to talk about in Besiege, given that I can't afford a CAD package with simulation. So what we have is the head mechanism on the top of the creation, the two sort of arms poking out the top, and then those connecting up to that single arm at the top. And those will represent the motion of the two servos, and his head going up, down, left and right. We have the set of gears and that wing looking piece, and that is representing the shoulder gears and the arm and hand as it's waving. Okay, it's a little bit janky, I'm not gonna lie, the controls aren't as fine as I'd like them to be, but it just demonstrates the principle across. So we can get the wing piece to move left and right, quote unquote waving, by running that top gear, and we can move the whole assembly up and down with the larger gear on the bottom. And then we have a go at the mechanism at the top. Now, yes, the mechanism at the top does look a bit floppy and a bit weird, but the point is it does sort of work. We can go up and down there, and we try to go left and right. The key bindings are a bit confusing, but that's fine. You can see it does indeed move left and right, although it does look like it's a bit sticky in places and kind of janky, but maybe that's just the physics game engine.
I have done a little prototype now. As you can see, here is our Sparky character. I wish there was better lighting in here because he's pretty much a black mess. He is all in black because that's the cheapest stuff I have, and I want to prototype him. And usually you find errors and things, which I did. I found many errors. The new one, which you might not recognize, has changed much, but trust me, there have been a few changes. Most importantly, the mechanism that makes him, like, move his head around. So what we're going to do is we're going to splay them out, we're going to drop them down, and that allows these link arms here to be longer. And when they're longer, they'll have more of an effect of actually moving his head around. And then his arm pieces as well, which... that moves really nicely, as well as that. Okay, let's design the electronics for our little Sparky bot. Now that, my friends, is how you take pride in your work.
Gay!
These are all of his, or all of the functions that I can now just switch on and off with an Arduino. So I can literally take a pin out from the back side of these and a pin out from the front side of these. Alright, here we are. After a lot of boring soldering later, as you can see, a massive difference in the box. If we do actually look in here, yes, all of the soldering, all of the wires, it is literally a little comfy home for a bunch of rats. I have these 7 switches, which are bistable, so they technically count as 14 switches already. Another 3 switches there, and another 2 buttons here. Well, we've got this one on the side here, which should do a thing.
I swapped over to these joysticks from Adafruit. Originally I had normal RC aircraft joysticks on there that I bought from Amazon, but they turned out to be really cheap and the potentiometers would read exponentially. And since I'm mapping that one-to-one with all of Sparky's servos, he would end up like not moving for half of the joysticks travel and then moving all in the last tiny bit of the joysticks travel. These Adafruit ones are brilliant because they are very linear in their output. I recommend getting these ones as opposed to the cheap rubbishy ones from Amazon. Okay, so here I have gone ahead and written the code for Sparky. If you want to download any of the code that I have written here, then please feel free to have a look in the description of the video. So, up here we've got the standard servo libraries. There is a class system going on in here. And that's just running the 3 flashing LEDs on the front of the box. Then I'm defining a bunch of integers to do with the servos. Then all we're doing is reading the pin values. Then we're just setting a load of the pot values to the analog sticks. So this bit of code here is what James Bruton wrote. This is so we can smooth the motions of Sparky to give him a bit more of a fluid and dynamic motion. And these 2 lines of code are doing the arm rotation compensation. And we're just mapping all of the values that we get out of our smoothing protocols and the rotation compensation. And then we're just setting those back to the servos. And then we're also doing the LED update, which is back of the LED class system that we read out previously.
Okay, so this is Sparky code version 1 test. Test 29, test 137. It's still broken though. Alright, I'm gonna call it a night. Okay, this is day 2 of Sparky test code version. I've honestly forgotten now. Okay, that works. That also works. Look at that, we're in business. I don't know what I've changed, but it's working now. Yes! Haha! Alright, let's build the rest of him now.
So we're just running a test of the left, right, up, down, head tilt mechanism that I devised, and I've pushed the rods to the absolute limits extreme here, and that's going to right to the top of the head with the maximum amount of clearance I can in his body. And to be honest, I'm not happy with how much he can turn. His head barely tilts left and right, and yeah, he can look down quite effectively because of the cosine error or variant. As the rods flatten out, they have more influence over the position. But the point being, it's really anemic and I just don't like it. We'll swap to a more traditional pan and tilt mechanism. Okay, so here is the final iteration of Sparky. There were a few before him, in between, but this is the last, or this is what I'm confident is going to be the last iteration of Sparky. So, what we have, well, the big changes that we've made here. So if I get rid of his head now, you can see that we've got a slightly more traditional pan and tilt mechanism. So we've got this gear interacting with this gear to literally transmit power. There's nothing more to it than that. But it's steampunk, so why not? More gears is always welcome. And then the tilt one will have a servo, which is going to be mounted in his head there, and we'll have a piece of wire, because I love my pieces of wire.
Whoa.
Going from this little hole in here to some armature on this servo there, and as the servo rotates, it'll lift his head up and down. And the other major change is, you can see right here is we've got an absolutely massive servo in there. And I thought to myself, well, we can almost fit one of these big servos in here. So if I scale him up by 10-15%, then we can fit one in. And that is a huge upgrade, because we can end up putting 35 kilogram centimeter servos in there, so we can get him really benching and lifting things.
Yeah, we have all the parts printed out for Sparky. Next step is to sort of go ahead and add some of this stuff, which I've never used before, but Adam Savage swears by it, so we'll have a go. There's the pewter, Spanish copper in an antique gold as well. Kind of want to try and make these 3D prints not look like they're 3D prints, you know? And you literally don't need much. And there we have the final part. Yes. I think it looks amazing, doesn't it? Here we are, freshly gilded. Have a look at this. You kind of can see some layer lines in. They're looking alright. They could probably do with some weathering and some detail stuff. I think we should have everything now. These are all the parts printed out, and some of the sub-assemblies assembled. And we have our servo banks, all the servos for Sparky. All the pieces have been rubbed and buffed, put together. And I think it's time for a final assembly. Yes. is nearly finished. There's one more step that I want to take with him, that is to do some weathering. Now, I mean, this is roller chain, obviously. This actually came out the bottom of a 2-poster lift. And some of that stuff, that's going to make Sparky look really dirty. One brush, which is probably this one, and I'll go in there and dab him with it. And then I'll go with this brush and then try and clean it back off to make it so that the dirt sticks in places that dirt will stick. The other bit that I forgot to do was you need some dents as well with a soldering iron. I'm literally just going to go ahead and stab him with the soldering iron. That is Sparky all weathered up. I'm kind of happy with how it turned out. With a bit of the rust action and some bearing chain grease. He's looking alright. And some soldering iron stab wounds too. And of course we've got the box which we made last video. There's really only one thing left to do now. And that is the inaugural maiden of her Sparky. Up here and flick that switch. Boop. Ha ha ha. Ain't that cool, huh? Yep. He works! He is alive! Hello.